Hello everyone, and welcome to this new podcast / YouTube channel called SEO Conspiracies, where I have the legend himself, Mr. Dixon Jones. Hello.
I'm Dixon Jones. I'm not a legend. I'm just a myth. It's completely...
You're a conspiracy on your own.
Sorry. Grab that. Start again.
No. I'm more. I mean, I'm not that well known in the English SEO world. Well, a little bit. I'm starting.
In France, you're very well known. You're probably the best known SEO, I think, in the French market. I think in many ways, you know.
Yeah, but I'm definitely more controversial than you. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, I've got to stay on the right side of most people, really. I don't sleep well by rubbing people up the wrong way. I hate it when I've wound somebody up. So I'm a goody two shoes, really, and it helps me to sleep well at night. But I think that on the plus side means I can speak to almost anyone. So. I get to occasionally, meet up with the odd Googler or meet up with the odd black hat or meet up with the speakers and stuff, and keep on getting invited to speak on the conference circuit. So I think over the years I've spoken to pretty much every conference that's out there. Yeah. Sometimes good, sometimes not so good, but usually with my heart.
But why I think you deserve the status of legend is, first, you've been there since the beginning.
1990. My first website was in 1998 or so. I tried to set up a website using Front Page 95, which never worked. I mean, I don't know anybody that ever managed to get Front Page working in Windows 95. But Front Page 97 just about worked, and then 98 kind of worked. And my first ever presentation on SEO was to the Front Page users group at the Microsoft campus in Reading in the UK. So Front Page users who I assumed were expert website builders had no idea, what Alta Vista was doing, or Ink2Me or Yahoo Site Explorer or Yahoo, or all the different search engines that were out then, and had not even thought about the fact that the way they build their website is going to affect their search engine traffic, which was kind of bizarre to me.
But from back in the days, Front Page and all, your agency, what was the name of your agency?
Receptional. So Receptional, which still goes to this day. I don't own it. I'm not part of it. If it's going well, great. If it's going badly, not my fault. But it's I left there a long time ago. But I founded Receptional, which is still one of the biggest independent agencies, oldest independent agencies anyway, out there in the UK.
Then Webmaster World.
Yeah, so that was interesting. I moved from I didn't move, but there was a forum called Gym Tools, which was great. So Gym Tools was and Create a Site and a couple of other forums, but I ended up on Webmaster World. And the interesting thing there was I wanted to become a moderator because I thought that would be cool. And the dustiest forum was the MSN forum, because no one went there. And so I decided to try and become moderator of that forum. And I did that a couple of months before Microsoft advertising turned into MSN, turned into Bing. And Bing and Microsoft came down and said, right, who are the influencers in the industry? I decided the moderator of the MSN forum was influential. So that was a really good place to be at a really good time, really. Yeah, I got a lot of dinners out of that. And I enjoyed Webmaster World. I thought that was a really good place to kind of learn things, to collaborate across the world.
It was
and very enjoyable. Yeah. What were you doing back in those times? What were you doing back in 2000 something?
Oh, well, I come from the marketing, branding, communication world. I'm a marketer above all. And then 2003, I discovered SEO.
Okay.
Just by mistake. And then early 2004, I entered a SEO contest. It was the second one in the world. And that helped me to figure out how and what to feed Google.
Yeah.
Then I lived the glorious days of clicks and affiliate links.
You went down that road. Yeah, I was an affiliate for a while as well. Yeah.
And that was glorious up until 2008. And even back then, people were asking me for tips and advices. I had one of the first like SEO blogs that was not bullshit, right? Just telling stuff straight up. And little by little, the consulting part took over the whole affiliate, because working 10 times more to make 10 times less is not my cup of tea.
No.
And that's what became this whole business of affiliate and stuff. I'm not saying it doesn't work anymore. It's just you got to work so much more than what we did back in the days. But that wasn't easier. People say, "Oh, I wish I was there." Yeah, but you couldn't go onto YouTube and say, "Oh, how do I optimize my title tag?" Because
No.
or how do I do
remember,
AdSense? I joined the program maybe 4 months after it was launched. Nobody knew how it worked and how to do it. So it was different.
I had 2 affiliate programs that were making reasonable money. The first was the first time I ever, when Receptional tried to give its first contract for SEO consulting, or one of its first contracts. We went to a company called Fig Leaves, a women's underwear company, and I thought I did a brilliant pitch. I thought, you understand it, I've given it, I've explained it, it's brilliant. Of course, they're going to pick me to do their SEO. And they gave it to this company called Spannerworks in Brighton, and it so pissed me off that I went and bought women'sunderwear.net. And in the UK at the time, there was a FreeServe was a big portal, ISP.
I remember.
And they were using the GoTo engine GoTo became Overture as a main result. So I kind of went on there, paid 1 penny, or I think it was 5p in the UK per click to get the #1 spot. Did a 100% frame. It was before iframes even existed, and put the Fig Leaves website there for women'sunderwear.net, and also got to the top for exact match on Inktomi or something. I phoned them up the next week and said, "Well, okay, I'm #1. I've got you #1 on this site and this site. How's Spannerworks doing?" And they said, "That's very interesting. Have you ever heard of affiliate marketing?" I said, "All right, I'll do that." And years later, it turned out I was a top 5 affiliate for Fig Leaves for years whilst that was going on. So, that kind of worked, really.
Yeah. No, I mean, but before we go into our second part of our lives, right?
Right.
Let's tell people what are we doing here and how are we going to bring them amazing value.
Well, I think we're going to bring amazing value because it's going to be free, obviously. So if you get any,
and we're
value,
not trying to make money out of it.
Not at all, not at all. I think the thing is that you and I, so SEO Conspiracies, you and I have been in the industry an awful long time, and we hear a lot of unsubstantiated crap, and sometimes we're the causes of that unsubstantiated crap, possibly. But I think that we have a pretty good take on an awful lot of things that go out in the industry that people say, "Oh, do this and this will happen," or Google penalizes this, or this is good or this is bad. And I think touching on those stories and breaking the myths, I think is going to be a pretty interesting series for people. And I think we won't make each one too long. I think they should be lighthearted but informative. And over the course of the series, I'm sure we're going to pretty much eke out a huge amount of our the knowledge we didn't know we had built into in our psyches.
Yeah, because it's going to help us to bring down some stuff that seems obvious to us is not obvious. Like, for example, is PageRank still used by Google? You might think that it's obvious that yes, it's still used, but for most of the people, maybe not. I mean,
yeah. So and in what context? So yeah, there's so much out there, and when we were going through the list of things that we could talk about, it just carried on going, didn't it? It was amazing. So I don't think we're going to have a shortage of topics. So I think our challenge is staying on topic, really.
Yeah. But also, okay, we're going to try to debunk myth and all, but also bring value in a way that this is how we think you should do it. So it's also there's the short content form, probably 15, 20 minutes max, which is going to be once a week. I don't know which day, which hour exactly, but also we might do some longer form or maybe interviews and stuff. And like this first video, which doesn't have the short format of 15, 20 minutes. And we'll see how it goes. I mean, we are joining for this new adventure. I had the idea a while back. I mean, it's been like maybe years since the first time I talked to you about this.
Quite a while. So, amazing how long these things can percolate for before they turn into reality, So I guess people also want to know, a bit more about, where we've, what we've succeeded in and stuff, and what we're doing now. There's a lot of SEOs out there, and spotting the difference between success and not success. I mean, I feel that I've been relatively successful merely by staying here all this time. There's so many people in the SEO industry that, have come and gone, and they've moved on and moved out, and the ideas might have been great for a while. But there's a certain amount of being able to adapt to the real world, and being able to have enough maybe security to not panic every time there's an algorithm change. And I think we've been lucky, maybe, because you live in Andorra, don't you?
Yeah, I mean I'm French.
You're a tax domicile or somebody around.
Yeah, well, it's when I started to make that much money with affiliate links and AdSense that I was like, okay, should I give like more than half to the government, or should I go to a place where it's easy to make money, just don't pay taxes legally?
Well, I was lucky enough to get enough to have we've got a little property down in Wales in Snowdonia, so it's probably not
Beautiful.
So dissimilar to the hills of Andorra, but we're lucky enough to get that a couple of years back. Of course, now, as we're talking about this, we're in lockdown, so so it's not available to rent, and it's losing money hand over fist. But what can you do? At least it's a nice problem to have, to worry about having to pay costs on your second property, isn't it?
Because I mean, to go back to why we're doing this, I think anybody is entitled to an opinion. Anybody can say anything they want, but think about it. I mean, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to people. Think about who is giving you the advice. We have experience. We have culture. We have values. We've been doing this for a long time. So maybe our point of view counts for something, right? Educated point of view, I think, is more important than just any point of view. Not saying that we are better, but we have and it's always important to say that it's our opinion. There is no truth. If you prefer to listen to Google official voice, good for you. If you prefer to listen to any SEO out there, good for you. But there's also a place for our point of view, which is educated. We had results. We achieved some things in the whole SEO community. We're going to talk about it right now. So we are pretty sure that our point of view must count for something, right? That's a very important part, even if we respect anybody's point of view.
Not on everything, but on a lot of stuff, absolutely. I think we have because we've been at it for such a long time. You've got so much expertise in the affiliate world, and in the SEO world, and in the Black Hat world, and I've got a lot of experience. Before I started Inlinks, became CEO of Inlinks, which I'm sure we'll talk about. Majestic is probably where most people know me from. So and that was an interesting perspective, because I was going tool side.
Hold on, slow down, because we stopped at this before you became the Majestic public face. So let's rephrase, because we stopped the story.
All right.
Right before you became Mr. Majestic.
Okay. All right. Okay.
So yeah.
Too late now. Okay.
so you became Mr. Back then it was Majestic SEO.
Yeah, it was
before being Majestic, and you were the public face of Majestic for decades, going all over the world and spreading the good thing about Majestic and SEO in general. So yeah, go on.
Okay, so and it was that was an interesting change for me, and for a lot of other people in the industry. I saw people going from the consultancy agency side, tool side, and this move to tool side for marketers was interesting for those that were lucky to do it. But what was really useful for me moving to Majestic in particular is that Majestic was crawling, several billion pages a day. It was a search engine. It was a web crawler as big as some of the biggest search engines on the world. It was crawling faster than Yandex. It was crawling, faster than Baidu outside China. So a huge crawler and a huge index. It didn't have the richness of Google. It didn't have the business model of Google, of the advertising and things, but it had a different one. And it meant that I could look at indexes with a real index. I mean, you spend a lot of time with Quant, and I've spent a lot of time, with Majestic. And these are indexes of the internet, which are independent of Google or Bing. And I think that gives us a value layer that not every SEO has, a perspective that not every SEO
of course,
has.
Yeah.
Sometimes we're looking at things from our own data set's point of view and realizing that when Google says, oh, we don't do it that way because it's such a big scale thing. We can't understand sometimes as SEOs that Google aren't picking on our little website. They don't give a damn about our little website. They give a damn about whether their billions and billions of web pages are getting ranked in the right order and delivering the right information to the right customer at the right time. Your little piece of that puzzle, you create your own personal bias and your own bubble of what you think is your world. But it's only when you see an index like, Majestic's link network or Quant's topic analysis and stuff, and you start to realize that, oh, okay, it doesn't work like that. It couldn't possibly work like that. They couldn't possibly care about my individual page or my individual website. There is no somebody coming down and having a look and saying, no. That's not how it's going to work.
No, true. Search engine from an SEO perspective is very different from an engineer perspective. And also the fact is that when you, like you say, you have those barriers that make you, okay, you think that your little world, your little truth about SEO is going to be the same for everybody else. Not at all. And that's when I started to, last time I spoke with Eric Leandri, the founder of Quant, and we were discussing, I don't think anybody or most people don't even have an idea how big is the web even today. It's huge. It's just
I'd argue it's infinite,
yeah. And Majestic has a unique view of, like you said, it understands the web in a very, very, it's more a data company than really a SEO tool. You have a very unique perspective on how the web is made and I really love when you send out this printer in space to try to print, because that's
I don't know how many people remember that, but that was a great little wheeze, really. Yeah. So for those that don't know, we made a deal. The internet's the ISS, the International Space Station, was sending a 3-dimensional printer up into space, and that was through a private company, and it actually went up on SpaceX, and we were sort of sponsoring that, and what we got out of that was an opportunity to print our own thing in space. So we came up with a 3D visualization of the internet. It was printed on the International Space Station, came back down on SpaceX, and it sits to this day in the offices in Majestic's offices. This thing that was printed on the International Space Station. So got a TEDx talk out of that one. So.
And also, you got a pin from the Queen, but that was before actually.
We did, not for that though. So we've got. I've been to Buckingham Palace twice. Both of them were Majestic winning awards for innovation, one for innovation and one for international export, and they're Queen's awards. And so on top of winning search awards and stuff, and then getting involved in that, those are good ones to win. Going and seeing I say see the Queen. She was there. We were drinking champagne, but I'd spent most of my time actually talking to Princess Michael of Kent, actually, who was a very interesting woman, and we had a long chat. And also, I also got bitch slapped by Princess Anne as well. So Princess Anne, she's another thing that we won was same award, but we got a dinner at the International Export People's Dinner. I don't know. So anyway, black tie thing, and Princess Anne was coming along and shaking the hands of people. So I knew she was going to come up and she was going to say, so what do you do? And I was trying to think of something very clever to say that was going to be very simple, because I knew she had lots of people and stuff. And she did. She came out and what do you do? And I said, well, we're kind of like a scrappy Google. And without missing a beat, she said, you are not a scrappy Google. You are a jewel in the British Crown. And I thought, I've just been bitch slapped by royalty. She's absolutely right. I should definitely think about, the fact that this is a British company that has done well in the world, that has a different product that's out there. And she knew exactly why she was there. She was there for a job, and a job was to make sure the British industry felt proud about what they were doing. So, it was nice. It was nice.
It's actually a tricky question. Like, how do you define yourself? How do you explain your job? Especially, we were the first one. And I mean, didn't exist before us, especially SEO Consultant. Back then in the day, all the freelancers, it was a trend. You were by yourself, but you pretend to be an agency. It was, and I was one of the first one to say, okay, I'm a consultant. I'm just me.
So I went the other way. I didn't realize that agencies existed. So I was always a consultant. Until we started growing and we started coming up against advertising companies and stuff, and thinking, oh, okay, agencies actually aren't stupid. Well, because I automatically assumed that agencies wouldn't understand SEO at all, which was true for a while. The old sort of media agencies took a long time, and the PR agencies took a long time to figure out what SEO was. So I always called myself an SEO consultant until Receptional got too big, and we kind of like moved into, paid advertising, that kind of thing.
But the experience, from my experience as a judge in the European Search Awards, Canada Search Awards, UK Search Awards, is also very interesting, because throughout the years, I see how the industry is evolving and moving a lot towards this whole like content marketing concept instead of just SEO by itself, and how you've been one of the first and you're still there because you know how to adapt. And I think that's what makes a good SEO, is how you don't follow just trends, but how you evolve with how do we do SEO on this thing?
Well, I think I've been lucky enough to jump tool side. I don't know if I could have coped as you did with the agency side and the consulting side for so long. I think when I moved over to tool side, part of that was I'd reached the end of my talent, as some people might say. I think that the ideas became so complex that I could be strategic, and I could look at things on a strategic level, and I could do that T thing where I could be good at something, and I chose links back then. But I couldn't then also be good at CSS and be good at JavaScript and be good at Flash, or, not Flash, canonicals and all the other bits and pieces, Ahreflang as that came on. I can know them, but you've got to be kind of okay at all of it and an expert at something. And my expertise was, links, and then the network. I think my little black book is pretty good. Yeah. I think there are a lot of people in this industry that I know and know me, and
respect you. That's important.
Well, and I haven't made an enemy of them. So yeah. So I'm sure there's people out there that think they know a lot more than me, and they do. But there are definitely things I will know more than them, and I think this is the thing. And I'm sure we'll talk about it in one of the sessions about the need to have this little army of people around you that know the things you don't, because no one person can know it all these days.
Yeah. What is the secret of SEO?
But you've gone tool side as well, a fair amount as well.
Oh, I have about like 500 people on speed dial, and from like PhD in algorithmic or blah blah to black hat, or it's important, the network for sure. But I was thinking about your journey and how you were able to foresee a lot. I mean, first believe in SEO when nobody knew what the hell it was, then move on to the agency, then the tool. I mean, Majestic back then, there were dozens of tools, not hundreds of thousands like today. I mean,
true,
that needs
true.
a little bit of vista. And then now you're into semantic search, which is the move. And being at the right place at the right time is
I
what
tell
makes
you the secret. The secret is, for me, is to follow somebody who's cleverer than you. So I didn't dream up Majestic. Alex is the CEO of Majestic, the majority owner of Majestic. He had already crawled billions of web pages from his bedroom before I met him. I mean, he had this kind of ropey version of Majestic SEO, where you could give him £10 and he would give you 1,000 backlinks or something like that. That kind of model. And I tried to use it one day, and of course there was this free version out there of Yahoo Site Explorer, so you could go and get that for free over there. Mm-hmm. But I, paid £10, press a button, it didn't work, and I get, how you get angry online, and so I fired off this angry email to what I assumed would never come back, and I got this email back from the writer, who said, yes, there's a bug. I fixed it. Try it again now, and here's some free credits. And I thought, bloody hell, I know everybody in the world that needs that product. So I wasn't really clever. I was just in the right place at the right time, I think. But knowing when to jump, to move was good, because he obviously couldn't afford at that time a sort of an SEO, a marketing agency, and Reception at that time was a reasonable marketing agency. And so where we took our gamble was go into partnership, into a sort of marketing partnership initially, rather than, whereas most people wouldn't have taken that deal because the chances of it going nowhere were pretty high. One guy in his bedroom is not necessarily your ideal customer base. But if you really believe in the product, and you're willing to give up, your own time in hope for a long-term gain, then a partnership's a good thing, and it turned out to be a very successful idea. So and that meant that the chief engineer of the company was never going to leave the company, because the chief engineer was the owner of the company, and that's exactly what I've done with Inlinks as well. So Fred Laurent, good Frenchman, he contacted me. He tracked me down. And said, look, I've done all this. I've written all this. I've tried this business over here didn't quite work, and I had a look and I thought, you know what, this is a quite nice, because it's a product which is different enough from Majestic that I'm not going to piss off Majestic, because bread's buttered and stuff. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. But it was different. It was moving on to semantic search, which was clearly the future. And if you know it and I know it, that this whole semantic search and knowledge base and topics and stuff has become so prevalent right at the top of Google that it's going to become more and more. It's a good gambit to move really to. But again, it's not my company. It's Fred's company, and Fred is unlikely to leave because it's his company. That's my trick, really. Find someone that's cleverer than you, make sure that they own enough of the business so that they don't walk away, and then do everything you can to keep them programming. That's, if I can keep Fred programming and I can deal with all the front end stuff, then that's going to be that's our best chance of success at Inlinks. So, but you're marketing on your rank for sense.
Rank for win.
Yeah.
Well, I got several tools, but rank for win is the most, the latest and the most accomplished one. But you're right. And I was thinking, so many tech companies, we're not going to say names. We decided that we're going to be good guys on this podcast.
All right.
But even major SEO companies make the mistake to just have employees in charge of all the tech part. You're a tech company. I mean, the techies need to be part of the thing. If they are not at the core, it's not going to work out. If they're just employees, I don't believe
the idea of saying, right, okay, we're just going to go and build this technology in choose country here, and then we'll run it, and then we'll pay this company to do updates every now and then. That's not the way it works, is it? You just got to look at your plugin on WordPress, and the good plugins are getting updated every week. They're just getting added to, and that agile process carries on running through the organization. You can't build a product and just expect it to make you money for the next 5 years. It's not going to work.
It's not. And the fact is that if your product, you might have the greatest idea in the world, but if the execution, and you said it the other day, when, of course, you have some flaws. For example, the UX of certain tools might not fit your needs, but that's not the important part. Or any detail. That's not the important part. At the core, is it substantiable? Does it work? Is the business, like Majestic, having B2B and B2C is incredible. To be able to target two types of clients, B2C and B2B, is not the same at all, and that's very unique. To be at the foundation of a whole trend like the semantic search, and to have in your hand one of the best tools, which is in links, and very different from Majestic, like you said, to be able to find something new to tackle, but that doesn't cross over. That's remarkable. That's very rare.
It's finding that uniqueness, isn't it? It's marketing. It's finding that marketing piece that says this is different to everything else, and then you've got to make the market that you're playing in big enough to earn a living at, knowing the market that we're in really helps that. But you still got to jump. You've got to at some point jump. Jumping into InLinks, absolutely a risk. I had to put money into it. I have a minority stake in it. We got the problems of two partners that are in different countries, one of which has just left the European Union. There's challenges there, but Fred and I make a really good team. We communicate really well most of the time, touch wood, and I think we've made a good gambit moving into what I think is a really, really important area for SEOs and for internet marketers moving forward. And very few people are in it.
Yeah, just a quick summary of where we are, because we're in the same. We're not really competing. Well, we're competing on some part of the product. I still have to show you my.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look at it properly.
Yeah, but I'm from. I help build a website from scratch, but a website built on who is in relation to what and why, everything on the page, around the page, around the site, blah blah, from A to Z, and it's a WordPress plugin. But we are in the business of helping people to answer the single most important question out there. Why do I deserve to be number one on Google? Everything else doesn't matter. That's the only question. And our way to do it, let's say, crack the code, it's not that hard. I mean, to figure out what does Google want, we figured it out. Now, to build a tool and to make it available to everyone, that's the hard part. But to answer that question, what we brought up is old school SEO was all about keywords, right? You repeat the keywords everywhere you can on the HTML code. And what we brought up today is saying that to define something to be the most valuable piece of content on a keyword might not be about just repeating X number of times that keyword, but maybe more about I'll let you finish what is around.
Understanding the topics and things surrounding it. Yeah, so understanding what is semantically close to the central theme. I think the best way to be number one on Google, the best way is to be the most authoritative content on that subject. Of course, if you wanted to be, top for Buckingham Palace, it really helps if you happen to be related to royalty, or part of the royal household or the official royal household site, or if you want to be, top of the French, political system, then it helps if you're one of the political leaders in France. It's going to be very difficult for for somebody from a different country or a different background to suddenly become, the most authoritative content in something that is, alienated from them, their own background. You've got to be, you can only be good at so many things.
Yeah.
And don't try and be good at everything in life.
The interesting part is that if you think about it the other way around, is maybe it's going to be a little bit complicated where we're going to try to explain outside of the myth, right, to how to do semantic. But let's use, my problem is with that word, semantic. In the English language, you have another word, which is topical, which I think is more appropriate because it's whatever concerns, whatever is interesting about the topic, right? I like that word topical because it summarizes exactly what I have in my mind.
I think the two words are interesting. Because topics or technically named entities are the thing that this is all hanging around, which are things. They're things. Things or concrete ideas, whether it's a brand or whether it's a place or whether it's a concept, it's a Wikipedia article, for want of a better thing. A named entity is something that's concrete. Semantics is more about the relationship between named entity articles. So the things, and whether Nike is semantically close to Adidas because they're both types of sports shoe. And so the semantic comes in the connections, I think, whereas the topics or the entities are the things themselves. Mm-hmm. And I do have that habit of interchanging the words. And I guess outside of my brain, that's not a very clever thing to do. It's not necessarily explaining things in the right way. But this stuff's hard to get your head around, really. It's taken me a long time to even rise, to the one-eyed man in the land of the blind. But I'm a long way off being able to see with two eyes in a semantic world or a topical world.
Well, what we all try to do. Our tools are the best, of course, but some other tools try to do it as well. It's all about telling you what words you need to put on the page, what page need to be in relation to that page, because that's important. Which page is in relation to what page, for what reason, and also whatever surrounds the website, you got it all covered. And that's what it's all about. Anybody who is into that whole semantic SEO thing wants to tell you the best words, the bag of words you need to put on that page, the pages around the page, and the links around the website. Once you understand that, and you are able, you don't need tools. If you use enough of your brain, you can figure out by yourself.
Brain 2.0.
Well, what I like to do is, what I like to tell people is, don't try to be like a button presser, right? You press a button, the audit is done, or the optimization. No. The tool is there to felicitate. It is there to. It's like oil in the crank, right?
Yeah.
The tool is make you faster, make you more reliable, and so on. But what we're gonna try to teach throughout this podcast is also how to think for yourself, how to ask yourself the right questions. I think that's the key, because a good SEO knows how to ask him or herself the right question, because in the right question you got the answer pretty much.
Yeah, it's fair.
And that's what it's all about.
I think they're going to be great. I think there's I haven't seen a good podcast on SEO conspiracies. There may have been some around, but I think that you and I talking about different conspiracies is going to be a pretty interesting thing. It's just so many conspiracies to talk about that it's going to be an interesting series.
And of course, our style is not for everyone. We are very much like one take, freestyle. We don't prepare. We have the topics, but we know we have the expertise, so we chat together. But of course, we understand if you think we're wrong, let's open the discussion.
Sure.
And you can totally prove us wrong. It's our opinion. We're just a couple of guys here.
And of course, we're doing it at a point in time. And, some of these things have definitely changed over time. How Google uses PageRank has changed over time. Google's view of duplicate content may have changed over time, or negative SEO. So these things are at a point in time, and so when we record them, things may have changed afterwards. But you know what? Most of the stuff we're looking at, I think will stand the test of time. I don't think if you see this podcast, a year after each individual one goes out, most of these things are going to be, on point.
I looked at my on-page optimization, like basic SEO optimization tips that I give out to my clients, and that was written in 2006. The same.
Still the same. Yeah.
Same exact thing. Nothing changed. So there's also that. But yeah, some things become true, then they are not true, then they are true again, like the nofollow attribute, for example.
Yeah.
Does Google crawl behind the nofollow? That was true, then not true, and now it's true again, which I think is a good thing. But yeah, please, if you like our style, and if you want to understand that sometimes in SEO you hear something, then the opposite, well, we're going to give our truth, our opinion, our way to do it, and nothing more. Just let's have fun.
I'll tell you what as well, if you see this introduction and stuff to the whole series and you think there's particular things that we need to talk about, we need to have an SEO conspiracy, subject on the talk on this, then let us know and we'll try and fit one in, even if we've got to go back and record it later.
Of course, yeah. It's about the conversation with you guys. So that's very important to us. It's not just us. We could talk all day SEO, but we are putting it out there to have a conversation with you guys. So yeah let's hopefully you're gonna find value in what we do. And we'll see you in the first official episode of SEO.
Yeah, so I guess we've got to ask you to subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're seeing this on YouTube.
Oh yeah. You gotta. I mean, it's gonna be everywhere you can think of, in audio form and in video form and text and image and so on. So please follow us. Thank you.